night had swallowed the world whole. The highway stretched endlessly through miles of silent forest, and Daniel's car was the only heartbeat left in it. His headlights carved two narrow tunnels of pale light through the trees, and everything beyond them felt like another dimension, too still, too dark, too alive. He had been driving for hours. The family reunion had dragged on longer than he wanted, too many smiles, too many stories that didn't feel real. Now it was past 11, and he was alone on a road no one used after dark. The forest pressed in from both sides like a living wall, and sometimes the branches curved over the road, hooking together above him like bones. He rubbed his eyes, trying to shake the fatigue. The hum of the engine had turned hypnotic. He told himself he'd stay awake, just another 30 miles. But by the time the clock struck 11:21, his eyelids grew heavy, and by 11:24, his vision began to blur. He turned on the radio, hoping for noise, for something human. Only static. He twisted the dial again. More static. Then, faintly, a voice seemed to slip through the white noise. It almost sounded like his name. Daniel froze, listening. Nothing. He switched the radio off, and the silence that followed felt heavier than before. When the road widened into a small clearing, Daniel decided to pull over. The gravel crunched under his tires as he eased the car beside the trees. He left the headlights on for a few seconds, staring into the dark gaps between the trunks, the spaces that looked too deep, too black. Then he turned the engine off, and the night rushed in like a living thing. It was quiet. Not peaceful quiet, wrong quiet. The kind that presses against your eardrums until you start hearing things that aren't there. Daniel reclined his seat, trying to relax. The leather creaked under him. Somewhere far away, an owl called once, then fell silent. He closed his eyes. Sleep came fast. He woke to the sound of metal scraping against metal. Daniel's eyes shot open. His heart slammed hard in his chest. He lifted his head, blinking through the dark. The dashboard clock glowed 11:53. The sound came again, slow, deliberate, like someone dragging a nail along the car door. He held his breath. Nothing moved outside. He could barely make out the outline of the forest, tall, black shapes stretching forever. Probably a branch, he thought. The wind. But there was no wind. Not even a breeze. The trees were perfectly still. He waited, counting the seconds. The sound stopped. He let out a shaky breath and leaned back, telling himself it was nothing. Just his tired mind. But when he finally started to drift again, the scratching returned, this time from the rear window. He sat up fast, twisting in his seat. The sound was gone, but the air felt colder. His breath fogged against the glass. He looked into the rearview mirror, and froze. For a heartbeat, a pale handprint appeared on the back window, 5 long fingers pressed against the glass. Then it faded. Daniel's chest tightened. The silence deepened until he could hear his pulse in his ears. Something wasn't right. He leaned forward, scanning the forest through the windshield. Nothing. Then, from the side mirror, movement. Something low to the ground, crawling from behind the trees. He couldn't breathe. The thing was pale, human-shaped, but its limbs bent wrong. It rose slowly, its head tilting sideways, too far sideways, until it was staring directly at him. Daniel turned the key. The car roared to life. Headlights burst on, flooding the forest. Nothing there. Just trees. But on the window, faint streaks of muddy handprints slid down the glass. He pressed the pedal to the floor. Gravel exploded behind the tires as he sped back onto the road. His heart hammered. Every shadow along the roadside seemed to move. Every tree looked closer than it should. Then he saw something ahead, flashing hazard lights. A car parked on the opposite side of the road. Daniel slowed, relief flooding him. Another person. But as he passed, he realized the driver's door was wide open. The interior light glowed dimly, showing empty seats. Then he saw it, a shoe lying on the ground beside the car, torn and smeared with something dark. He stopped. The forest seemed to hum, a low, pulsing sound, almost like breathing. He looked around. Nothing. Then, a figure burst into the red glow of his taillights. Stop. Please. Stop. A man. Clothes ripped, face pale, eyes wide with terror. Daniel's instinct screamed go. He hit the gas. The man's hand slapped the rear window with a hollow thud as Daniel sped away. The road twisted sharply. The forest grew denser, closing in. His pulse throbbed in his temples. He told himself not to look in the mirror. But he did. The man was gone. Instead, something else stood in the middle of the road, a white figure perfectly still, watching him. He blinked and it was gone. By 12:30 a.m., Daniel had lost all sense of direction. Every turn looked the same. The GPS was dead. The radio began to hiss again, whispering in short bursts, voices hidden under the static. Then, clear as breath against his ear, he heard it. "Daniel, don't stop the car." He froze. His throat went dry. He twisted the dial, nothing changed. The voice came again louder. "Keep driving." He yanked the cord from the socket, killing the radio. But the voice didn't stop. It was behind him now. Daniel's body went rigid. He didn't turn. He could feel it, warm breath close to his ear. "Don't look back." He floored the accelerator. The car roared through the winding road, branches clawing at the sides. The forest blurred into streaks of black. Then, headlights again. Another car ahead. Same make, same color, same dents. Daniel's hands trembled as he passed it slowly. The license plate, identical to his own. Through the tinted glass, a figure sat motionless in the driver's seat. It looked exactly like him. His chest tightened. The radio flickered again. A voice whispered, "Turn left." He didn't want to, but the road forced him. The trees opened into a clearing. A small wooden cabin stood there, its porch light flickering weakly. His fuel gauge blinked red. He had no choice. When he stepped out, the air felt heavy, almost liquid. Every sound echoed. The cabin door was half open, creaking softly. Inside, the smell hit him, damp wood, mold, and something metallic. He stepped in, flashlight trembling in his hand. On the wall, words were carved deep into the wood. "Don't sleep here." Beneath it hung a cracked mirror. Daniel's reflection stared back, except it wasn't right. His reflection was smiling. He stepped closer. The smile widened. The reflection's head tilted, slowly, unnaturally, until it matched the same twisted angle of the creature he'd seen in the forest. Daniel backed away. The floorboards creaked behind him, footsteps. He spun around. Someone stood at the door. The man from the road. His face was pale, his eyes red and hollow. "Why didn't you stop?" he rasped. "It doesn't let you leave if you don't stop." Daniel stared at him, trembling. "What are you talking about?" The man pointed to the mirror. "It follows whoever looks too long." Daniel turned toward the mirror. It was empty. No reflection. Only the faint outline where his face should have been. Then, from inside the glass, a hand pressed against it. Then another. Then another. The man screamed. The lights went out. When Daniel opened his eyes again, sunlight spilled through the trees. He was in his car, parked on the same roadside. His phone was dead. The dashboard clock read 7:03 a.m. Everything looked normal. The birds were singing. The forest was still. He started the car and drove away, trying to convince himself it was just a dream. A nightmare brought on by exhaustion. A few miles later, he saw a highway patrol car. The officer waved him down. "Sir, you all right?" the cop asked. "This road's been closed for weeks. Big accident a month ago. Guy fell asleep at the wheel, never made it out." Daniel frowned. "What happened to him?" The officer nodded toward the forest. "They found his car wrapped around a tree. Still haven't recovered the body." Daniel's mouth went dry. His fingers tightened on the wheel. Slowly he looked into the rearview mirror. In the back seat something pale shifted. A faint reflection. Smiling.